bike project is coming along. In this video, we're gonna get this thing into a rolling chassis. Let's start with the front end, get that going. Greased all the bearings up here, cleaned them off, greased them up, greased the whole tube up. So before we can put the front wheel on, we need to go ahead and put our fork guards on. A couple of the bolts are hidden by the wheel. All the plastic and body work is gonna be one of the last things to go on a motorcycle, and then we're gonna do a whole video about the new graphics kit we got, but these have to go on now, so surprise, they're already on. I've already filmed a part for that. We'll sneak it in when I do the graphics kit, so act surprised. But yes, these are from Bold. They can do the 300L with the American, whatever country others have it too, headlight. Because I sent them a bunch of measurements and they made it work. You're gonna love these graphics, they're insane. Sparkle in them. New crush washers. All right, shh, quiet pocket. I've got a new chain here from Built, brand on RevZilla. Apparently they make chains now. The chains I've gone through, like I had the OEM chain and I had this other weird chain, it was red. It didn't last very long, I think it was like an arcade chain or whatever. But so I went with one I've never heard of before, why not? My discount code works on this brand, so. But it's an X-Ring chain, like a street off-road ATV. This is one of those things, if not all. So, pop the new chain on there and see how much of it we gotta cut off. My God, this chain is hilariously too long. It's fun putting tape on a chain with this much cosmoline on it too, because it doesn't actually stick to the chain. You have to get the tape to stick to itself. Stuck all this on, and I actually don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this in, my new case cover. Let me see, maybe if there we go. Will it fit? Awesome, it will fit, except I need to do a little modification here. There's one for this side, one for the other side. The one on the other side, we'll wait a little bit further down the road once we get the engine started to actually put it on, because it actually covers the oil filter cover. I've already scratched that thing once from a small accident, so it's probably beneficial to have a cover over it anyway. 'Cause I've seen some of these, like there's some real cheap wish.com looking covers like this you can find. They've got holes for the oil pump, but yeah, I don't trust them. But yeah, I wanted something here because I was scratching up the side of the case here with my boots, and I just didn't see any real good options outside of this R&G one that I got off of RevZilla. RevZilla hooked it up with this, so thank you. This gives me a barrier between like my boot, any grime, something hitting it, and it's a replaceable barrier, so always a good idea. Although I do need to make a slight modification because of this guy right here, my shock reservoir. It says this fits the CRF300L, not the 300, but obviously it's the same engine, it fits. I'll say though, it is one of those things you want to kind of get all these bolts started, you know, and then bring them in because it does sort of slightly deflect. Another thing to be very precautious of, you know, there's little bits of metal on here. This, a few of these bolts started to chowder out already. Probably I'm gonna pull one of these out next time I go to the store. Probably get a stainless version of that bolt. Before I put the other one on too, I'm probably gonna go ahead and just get better hardware for it. And one other thing I did notice here, and this could be an issue that I have an aftermarket shifter on here, but when you do an upshift, it does just make contact. You hear it? You can see it's leaving a little mark right there. This is gonna get scratches from my boots anyway. That's the whole point of this thing. So I'm not worried about it. That's not gonna cause any issues. I do love that this and this, it kind of matches here. It looks good, there's a lot of black going on here on the engine, and the other cover's even bigger than this. It covers up a lot more. I'm gonna stick the pegs back on here, and I don't know why I did not get these powder coated while I was down there. I just forgot, really. Anyway, a little alcohol right here. What? How would you need alcohol to install pegs? Normally you don't. I'm gonna put a little piece of what this is called is helicopter tape. This is just some frame protection tape. I'm gonna put it right here where the little stop bottom out on the peg touches the frame. This sort of tape, that's exactly what it's meant for, is things like this. It's meant to protect. Kind of pricey, pretty thin roll, but we're gonna put this in a few other spots, like where cables run against the frame. The other thing, of course, I just ran into it when I did the one on the other side. The hole for the pin that holds the pegs in place is definitely a little more firm than it was before powder coating. In fact, before powder coating, you could more or less just slip these in. Now you gotta kind of you hear the motorized dirt bikes or motorized bicycles. Kids having fun. Up here is where the cables for the clutch and throttle run. Would be the worst idea to put some of that film protection tape in here. Should have done this before I put the radiator on. My latex gloves I ordered are not here yet. They've done that weird thing where it says it's prime and it'll be here in 2 days, and then it's like, psych, we meant like a week or two. It does mold pretty well to these contours and shapes. Time to stick on the wiring harness. Definitely a lot to do there. This part can be a little intimidating. Big thing with this, something I just take time, go look back at the old video I made when I pulled it off before. I took some pictures, some notes like that. And at the end of the day, the curves and the things, where everything's set up on here, things can kind of only go into one place. The sort of tricky thing here that we also have to deal with right now is that a bunch of other stuff that this attaches to is not on yet, like the air box, battery box, things like that that are kind of needed to set this up, but are also sort of in the way. So you have to kind of pick a point when you want to do this, and I think this is the best point to stick it on now. We've got a lot of the main stuff in here, a lot of the big components. Should be able to mostly figure it out. Got it on a beach towel, and I know this part goes to the front. I'm not like connecting anything just yet, only because I have gotten in situations where I start connecting too much stuff up as I'm going, and then, oh, whoops, I need to flip this back around. So I try to kind of avoid that, although at the same time, the connections kind of show you if you're going the right way. Now I gotta feed the whole thing kind of down through here. So I know I said don't connect things, but I've started connecting things. Hooked up everything up here. Still got the big bundle of wires up towards the headlight. It does kind of start falling all together. It seems real hectic and chaotic, but then like you stop and look at it for a minute, you go, oh yeah, that goes like this goes like that. I actually want to get the air box in because I know there's some things that manipulate up and around the air box in different ways. Now, without that sitting in here, I'm just sort of guessing, and that's just asking to make a mistake. This is a bunch of grounds that hooks to the frame right here. Basically all powder coated right now. We don't want to rely on just the threads alone to give us our ground, so we need to actually remove a bit of this powder coat right here. I just got to be careful not to touch anything else in the area. All right, I think, oh, that's it. All right, cool. If this bit looks weird to you, you haven't seen this before, this is my old homemade undertail. I have a whole video on that. I had to make that for various reasons. I love it. I think it's actually a much better design than how it came. Everything is connected right now. Oh, there we go. Let's throw the exhaust on real quick. The Yoshimura Exhaust. Got this from Revzilla. This was actually ordered before we got Black Widow exhaust. For some reason, Yoshimura took so long to send it out that we just sort of gave up. Now, the start of this little build series, the big bore and everything else we've done here, I kind of explained why we were going away from the Black Widow to this guy. You kind of see the header size versus header size. I know this isn't like the easiest way to tell, but I mean, you can kind of see here, the Yosh is a lot bigger. And by the way, if you're looking at that going, wow, that's a nice looking exhaust there. It's nice and polished-y looking. I was putting everything up to make sure it was gonna work with the crash cage I have, and then I scuffed it slightly, and I was like, oh, I can fix that, and I polished it. I polished it a bit too much, and then you're kind of committed, and then like 10, 15 minutes later, I had the whole thing, you know, at this level. It's not mirror, but it's pretty nice. Then I was looking at the mid pipe. I was like, man, all these weld marks. I don't like that, so I cleaned it up. I mean, if nothing else, it will make keeping this cleaned up a little easier. Sounds good. First thing to do is to install a new gasket up here, a new exhaust gasket. Yoshimura Exhaust did not come with a new gasket. Most of the time, they don't. The last one we put on, though, did. So I will say that's a nice thing about the Black Widow. If you just try to stick it in there, it's gonna fall out. So I just dabbed it in a little bit of grease. A little gross, but whatever. It'll just kind of keep it in here. See, it has just enough sort of friction to kind of hold it. And of course, that grease will simply burn off. It's temporary glue. Grab your old acorn nuts, the ones that went on there. Right now, we'll just leave the header loose. It's goofy trying to figure out how to wiggle the mid pipe in. Do a whole dance in there. And there it is. Yep, took a whole dance. They didn't give me a bolt for this part. I guess I just want you to use the factory one. This one was off of the Black Widow. I actually like the little thing there. So still have some Black Widow parts on there. Leave it a little loose for right now. As it slips over this guy. That's just how this does. It's just got a big flare out, and it kind of needs to clear the tires. It'll probably look okay with plastics. It's a little funny looking right now, but I'm just gonna assume with plastics it'll be okay. I'm gonna snug everything up from the can to the header. I'll go back and final tighten them. The header can twist, right? It's got the most play in it. The fact that it can rotate, especially on a single cylinder. You kind of want to get this all locked in, and it'll help manipulate that in down there. Far side one, I'm gonna have to tighten like a caveman because of a crash cage is kind of in the way as well as its own header. Now I'm gonna go back to the exhaust and come all the way back around for the final tightening. And you know what that looks like, so we'll just skip that for recording. Time to put on the old O2 sensor, some NICs on that. I highly suggest if you're putting an exhaust on your bike, just unplug the O2 sensor. Don't try to do this like wind it up, wind it back in. That's silly. I need to upset this. No big deal. Slightly powder coated together. Down to the final stretch for the exhaust. We have to install our Yoshimura exhaust springs that say Yoshimura or something. These are simple enough. I'd wear gloves when you do these, but they do give you a spring tool. I've been using the Two Bros one for years. Actually, I think the Two Bros one is, I like this handle a little better, and it's got a little more point here, which can help. But we'll try to use the Yosh one, just since they did give us a tool. Why not? Oh yeah, sure enough. This is probably upside down. I don't know. I don't know Japanese. Here, I'll flip this one the other way just in case. So at least one of them will be correct. It'll just be something funny that someone will laugh at. Look, you know what's even funnier? I'm using the Two Bros spring puller because it's just a better spring puller. It is. All that's left is to install this little heat shield. Other things you'll want to do, of course, is wipe all your fingerprints and grease and junk off of it. If you're wondering about the parts you just can't seem to get to, guess what? You probably can't see them either. So we have a little bit of grease stains on there, and a little bit of grease stains on there, and no one knows. Well, I'd say it's about 95% done. I know you're gonna be mad at me, but I think I'm gonna call it a day. I'm beat right now. Just super tired. I'm gonna go to bed. We'll pick this up tomorrow. I will do that real quick. Won't start without a fuel tank on there, but it's nice to see it turning over and turned over with no real hesitation, no huss. That's the first time I've done it right there. I didn't want to do that before I started it. Hear it, didn't sound weird at all. Sound perfectly normal. Next video will be up on Patreon. It's already up on Patreon. I was gonna mention about Patreon. They're like 3 videos ahead right now, 2, 3 videos ahead. So get over on the Patreon and see what you've been missing. It's already running over there. It's probably already doing dank-a-nooners. So check that out. And if you do join, please link your Discord so you can come hang out with us in the Discord. Next video, it's starting, which is tomorrow for me. Super fun. All right, later. There y'all go.